Hello, hello.
Yeah, he mutes his mic when he's trying to start the show live.
Okay. Okay. Make sure you can see the Ali T-shirt, all right? That's well.
Yeah, I like it.
That's all.
And we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingrid Jones, and I'm joined with two very good friends. I have in the room with me myself, Bo Bland from Boxing Facts. Bo, you here? Are you?
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you, man.
Great stuff. And I have with me Sky Sports pundit, toe to toe, the knowledge, Spencer Fearon. Spencer, how you doing?
I'm very good, brother. Nice seeing you again. You know what I mean?
Fantastic. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, you're just in and out. So I don't know where you're in America now.
I'm in Ireland at the moment.
You're in the islands, yeah?
Yes.
Right. Stay.
So popping in and out. Okay, let's get down to business. Bo, very quickly, any news from America that we should know about apart from the obvious?
Well, Lucas Brown and Briggs is fighting. Who the winner of that has to face Fez Okendo, where they got to start negotiating within 120 days. The Jack Colkay and Andrade fight fell through for some reason. That fight's not going down. Um, they're shopping around the idea of a Lomachenko Pacquiao, but Lomachenko is like, listen, he can't make 140. 140 is a little bit too much for him. And there was one more thing. There was one more thing. Oh, Canelo may be a mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders. That may be happening. With Canelo might turn out to be a mandatory for Saunders. So, a lot of things going on. And of course, we know Klitschko and Joshua got approved for the WBA Super title, and there's still no sign of when Deontay Wilder's going to come back anytime soon.
Okay, let's pass it back on to Spencer. Spencer, great
Hey.
to have you on the show. Let's get cracking with things. Joshua Molina has been made pay-per-view. The general consensus by a lot of people, they obviously want to see the Klitschko fight. Tell us your thoughts on how much of a threat Molina poses to Anthony Joshua.
Well, I think it's more of a fact that they're looking at this fight to say David Price, because it was out of David Price and Molina, right? I spoke to Eddie Hearn, and and I spoke in depth with him, and Eddie Hearn was saying that it's more to do with like it's either going to be David Price or Molina, because everybody else is out. There's nobody else that they could pick from, which is understandable, especially at the time when they're making a progression for Anthony Joshua, and no matter who he was to pick, bar him picking Lewis Ortiz or David Hay, there'll be complaints. So it's kind of like a no-win situation. But Showtime were adamant that they were more in favor of seeing Molina fight because they know him as a quantity and they can use him also as a barometer because Molina went in there and he fought gallantly against Deontay Wilder, even though he got knocked out. But he fought gallantly and he hurt Deontay a couple of times in that fight too. And so he's coming off a decent win against an old but still very experienced Thomas Adamek. So that's the fight that was made.
Okay, you're the knowledge. You know of the pay-per-view fights that were back in the day. When we talk pay-per-view fights, it was elite fighter versus elite fighter, the best of the best.
Yeah, but
How do you justify this
okay,
being pay-per-view?
say to you, do you know like of the famous story that Sugar Robinson and Joe Lewis they physical against each other for over Coca-Cola, right? You must have
Mhm.
know the story, right?
Okay.
Right. So judging off of that, this must have been around about I don't know 1945 times, but they had a rumblings over Coke because Coca-Cola was like a really special commodity back then, right?
Right.
Times change. No one gives a shit about that now. Just like on the same thing with pay-per-views, pay-per-views were saying elite fighter versus elite fighter, especially when we're thinking about when we were really going out and buying pay-per-view fights or pay-per-view brands. It was like Chris Eubank that started it off on Sky. But I remember like staying up to watch Mike Tyson versus Frank Bruno in the second fight, which was on pay-per-view. We're thinking, wow, Evander Holyfield, when they had that mad bill where they had Evander Holyfield fighting on, they had Evander Holyfield, Michael Mora, and it was tied, So you had so many guys on an undercard, and you're thinking, wow, that is a proper undercard you're doing pay-per-view. And now, in order to keep a talent like Anthony Joshua and the rest of people to make it viable to us to make everybody make money, it has to go on pay-per-view. And you have to remember with Anthony Joshua now, he within himself is an event, right? I don't know how he's perceived that in America right now, but in the UK, Anthony Joshua is an event. And of course, the die-hard boxing fans are going to be complaining, saying, right, we want this fight. We want him to fight a better name. But it's going to be very, very difficult for someone like Eddie Hearn now, especially when he muted for the fight against Vladimir Klitschko, and then it didn't happen. And I know that was all down to money. So we're all upset, and we're all hyped to say, well, he's going to fight Klitschko. Now, he ain't fighting Klitschko. Anybody that you bring to the table now, and it's not a Vladimir Klitschko, we're going to complain. Right? And I'm saying, okay, then. I even tweeted last year, if Eddie Hearn put Anthony Joshua in with Molina, just before Molina was getting ready to fight Wilder, we will complain. And I said, like, he'd get slaughtered. And he's going to get slaughtered right now. But right now, it's more to do with, like, anybody puts Anthony Joshua in with, right now, we're going to complain. So, such is life.
If the fight doesn't go according to plan, i.e. Joshua doesn't slaughter Molina, goes 5-6 rounds, may get tagged, may get hurt, get wobbled, then does that lower his marketability, or does that just say, well, that's just part of heavyweight boxing, he's learning on the job as a champion?
Well, he is still learning. Listen, the drummer boy is limited in certain things, but one thing we have to give the drummer boy and Eric Molina, he comes to fight. He proved that against Chris Arreola. He proved that even though he got knocked out in the first round, but he still tagged Arreola. He tagged Deontay Wilder. The guy comes to fight. So I'm saying, right, at least you're going to come to fight. It's still safe betting because it's embryonic stages for Anthony Joshua. The guy can be a megastar. He's already a multi-millionaire. So let's build on it. I'm not going to be fighting down the kid. I like the kid.
Absolutely. He's got a lot of talent, and we wish him all the best. The next fight, Shannon Briggs, Lucas Brown. When I think about Foreman and Mora and the fact that the age and all the rest of it, how many parallels does Mora and Foreman have in terms of Briggs and Brown?
I don't see much, even though the two of them fought each other, but I don't see any parallel between Shannon Briggs and George Foreman. Over.
Both big punches, both got huge KOs in first round.
Yeah, George Foreman is a different type of puncher compared to a Shannon Briggs.
Of course.
Right? Totally different puncher. Don't get twisted. Shannon Briggs can punch. If Shannon Briggs tags you, he's going to knock you out. But George Foreman was the person who traded on. George Foreman became like the persona of a Muhammad Ali. After being this big bait, he went from being Sonny Liston to Muhammad Ali in the space of that 10 to 15 years, which in the time of him winning the title and losing the title. That's who he became. So I don't see that similarity, but I can understand you making that analogy, but I don't really see it. What I do see in Shannon Briggs is a man who's greatly experienced, a man who can still punch, and knows how to market himself. And everybody says, let's go, champ. Let's be real.
How much of a threat does he pose to Lucas Brown, and can he become heavyweight champion of the world again?
I would like to see him become heavyweight champion of the world again, to tell you honest truth, or win a version of the heavyweight title, for the fact that he is very good for boxing. I wouldn't want it to end here for Shannon Briggs on fighting Lucas Brown and losing on points or whatever. I would like him to win, but Lucas Brown is methodical, but he's good in being methodical.
So your thoughts on that? So your pick for the fight then?
My pick for the fight right now, I'd have to go Lucas Brown, but I would like to be proven wrong.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Sky punditry. A lot of criticism is online when people are listening to boxing bouts. People ask the question, why isn't Spencer Fearon doing commentating? Why isn't he not there for big fights? Can you answer that question?
I can't answer that. You're gonna have to talk to the bosses of Sky. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm really, really grateful for the podcast. The podcast is consistently top 10 on iTunes and consistently top 10, top 20 on Android. I'm really, really grateful for my position that I've got. I've got a band of brothers at Sky, and that's the God's honest truth. And things are moving. Things are moving in the right direction. All I got to do is just keep on doing what I'm doing. Now, people know that I'm a very outspoken person, and if you don't really know me, you can actually feel threatened by me. And then the easiest thing people want to do is say, "Oh, well, he don't know nothing about the game." But come on, I think you know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I really know this game,
Mm-hmm.
like on another level, and that's me being humbled by it. But I really do know the game. And what Dominic Ingram said to me said that people who know the game know that you know the game. So I'm cool with that, and it's building and that Sky. And when everyone's saying, "Well, I should be doing this and I should be doing that," all I'm gonna do is continue doing me and giving the best me because I know that I influence a lot of people, especially kids from our community. So that means a lot because like we get fantastic viewership on hashtag toe to toe and a brilliant numbers of listeners on the podcast where everybody knows me. And now I'm no longer managing fighters, even though I dabble with it. I'm no longer training fighters, even though I dabble with it. So the natural progression is what I'm doing now. And I influence the pundits that are on TV now. I'm not just talking about Sky, but the pundits that are on TV, especially in the UK, I influence them. I influence them to how they dress, how they talk, on the things that they're speaking about. I know this for facts because I know I listen to the podcast and I'm hearing certain people dropping the lyrics that I'm dropping on a week-to-week basis, and they're dropping my lyrics. They're not gonna attribute it to me, but that's fine. But I know that. I know, and I take it as a compliment to tell you the truth.
So anyway, congratulations. I've got to say, definitely congratulations for your rise. I remember talking to you and saying, "Do you know what? You're the perfect man for Sky." Now you're on Sky, so shout out to you for that.
You know what? It's like I remember I did commentary for a certain TV station, and they never called me back. And I know the reason why they didn't call me back because sometimes you see when you have a cacophony of knowledge, especially historical dates, it's like everyone knows I'm kind of crazy with dates. People say, "Well, do you just sit down and always constantly study the thing?" Well, that's how repetition breeds into character, right? So I constantly watch this game. So when you are a little bit, people don't know really how to take you, but it's kind of cool because I get to influence the younger generation who, if they don't look like me, they will talk like me. So I'm good with that. And you know what I mean, we're living comfortable. So it's coming, trust me. Because end of the day, cream rises to the top.
Absolutely. What's the biggest misunderstanding people have about Spencer Fearon that you hear over and over and over again? That you think, "Nah, that's not me." Why do they say that?
Man, I get loads. You know, I get loads. I get loads. I get loads. I get from him being overly cocky to him being racist. The one I get a lot, "Oh, he's racist."
Yeah, I do hear that one about you. You're racist.
Right, I'm racist. I'm saying racist against who? Do you understand? I get, you know what I mean? I get that a lot, which is kind of weird because to all my white friends, they find it very humorous. They laugh their head off at it. So, but then sometimes you can get, if you fight oppression in the way that I do, like I don't take nonsense, and I don't, like for me to get where I'm getting, I'm not gonna do the coonery, or I'm not gonna play no Uncle Tom to think that that's gonna open doors, because it doesn't open doors. I'm gonna tell everyone that I'm a firm believer. I know that I'm deeply religious, so I'm a firm believer in God. That doors do not open for me. I'm truly rolling with God. So when I'm truly rolling with the Most High, the Creator of the universe, and not the one that TV will give me and say this is the higher being, because that's not the higher being. So people know that I'm rolling with that. So when I'm rolling, I don't really care what anybody says, but I get all kind of criticisms. But that's cool. It's because they don't know me. But if people knew the things that I did, then they couldn't raise that to me. But like I said, I'm truly rolling with God. So doors do not open for me. Doors don't exist. So I'm all right, man.
You see, when you've got that sort of strength that's within you, and you've got that kind of belief inside of your system, no man can really shake you, and you're not sold. You don't sell your soul out to anybody, because there's a higher price, which is for the Most High. So
yeah, most definitely,
that's
100%. And not only that, well, you got to think about it this, right? Floyd Mayo comes to the UK. Who's he phoned to host his show? Me. 2 shows I host. You know what I mean? Bernard Hopkins comes into the UK. Who they phoning first? Me. Come, let's go around. So it's like, when you got a connection with the top elite, because these are guys that I study, when they come to the UK, it's me that they're showing love to. So I can go to any fight. I watch so much of this game. I'm just going to continue watching the game. I'm just going to continue loving the game. And like I'm saying, when people say, well, you should be doing this, this, and this, well, I'm saying, hold up a second. I got 3 shows on Sky Sports. 3. I do tactical breakdowns. I got hashtag toe to toe where we answer the tweets. And I've also got a podcast. That's 3 shows at Sky. Little me. Right? And I ain't sold out to get it. I've been real. Do you understand? I will constantly keep on writing motivational quotes. I will constantly go into a place and lively up that place by that of being positive. So therefore, when you get negative things thrown at you, you're going to get it because you are who you are. You remain strong in who you are. But we just got to continue fighting a good fight. And it is a good fight.
What would be your words of encouragement to somebody watching you and saying, how do I do what Spencer's done? How do I get to that position? How do I maneuver myself in that way?
I'll say to anyone, if that's the case, graft. You got to graft. Nah, people you don't realize. Look, remember, like, I've boxed amateur, I've boxed professional, I've managed, trained, promoted, I've owned gymnasiums. I was the first person in the UK ever to sell boxers' image rights. Remember, that was me, and I raised a lot of money doing it. Myself and my business partner at the time, Karen Baines, was my brother. And he's a white dude as well, right? Right, just to get that straight. So, and he's also a godfather to my children. Like, I've done a lot, but the thing about it is this: what I realized inside the boxing is that a lot of people don't study the game. So because they don't study the game, they're so far back. So if someone say, well, how do I get through and let these things happen? First, you got to visualize it. You got to visualize yourself being in that position. I visualized myself being in this position. As I visualized myself, I didn't just visualize myself because I had a goal, but it's no good having a goal without a plan. I planned for this. So as I planned for it, it comes to fruition. Loads of people don't plan for stuff. They want it to happen, but they're not planning for it. You know what I mean? And also you got to know, like, you got to be polite to everyone, because you never know who you're going to help out in turn is going to help you out. And it may not happen straight away. It could happen 10 or 15 years down the line, but it will happen. Because when people say, oh, well, it's not what you know, but it's who you know, that's nonsense. Because what you know internally has helped you know who you know. Feel me? You understand? So therefore, we just got to keep on pushing forward, keeping things positive. But seriously, the art of visualization, I'll say to anyone, visualize this stuff. Do you know what I mean? And ask the universe. Right. If you don't want to call it God, ask the universe. Right? Because anything you go and ask for, the only answer that you're going to get back is a limited vocabulary of yes. Now, whether you step forward on your yeses, loads of us don't act on our yeses. I remember when you first started and you did an interview, we was down at John Rooney's, and you came down there and you was your little camera and you did your little bit. And now look, you're doing your things right now, and you're hooking up on a worldwide link up, and you're talking to everybody in the game. All you got to do is just keep on pushing forward. Do you understand? Because it's quite simple. You know, the 3 rules, and the 3 rules are this: if you don't ask, if you do not step forward, you're always going to be in the same place. If you don't go after what you want, I am guarantee you'll never have it. So I'll say to you, keep on going for what you want to go for. And I'll say to everyone who go watch this, like, there's not a day where I do not get stopped by people who just want to talk boxing now. Or people, oh my God, it's Spencer Fearon. And I'm trying to say, I'm not sort of name, right? Even though I do dress kind of smart. But I'm saying, but that is it. There's nothing that breaks me more different than you guys. Just the hours that I put in. The hours that I put in this game is the hours that I actually should have put in when I was a professional fighter. Or the hours that I should have put in when I was at school. Or the hours that I should have put in my first marriage. Do you understand? But it's the hours that you put in. So I put in the hours. It's so important. Put that graft in. Because the worst thing is this. And you're not getting the opportunity. You're not getting the opportunity. You're complaining so much. And then when you get the opportunity, you're not ready for it. I know that myself, actively prepared for any opportunity that came my way, especially when it comes to this boxing. So I'll continually study. So once I was there studying and preparing for the opportunity, when it came knocking, I was prepared. And I just walked right in. And I've been at Sky now, 4 years now. And it's bigger.
Big up to you, for real. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit. There's a few things I do want to ask you about. Luis Ortiz.
Good fight.
Is he the goods? I mean, he seems to have all the goods, but I've noticed he seems to fight a lot of non-punches. Is that something we should look into, or is that something we should ignore?
Okay, well, he fights non-punches. Name me a puncher that he should be fighting.
Well, he hasn't fought a puncher yet.
Yeah, but name me a fighter that he should be fighting.
Well, okay. He fought Brian Jennings. He fought...
Wait there.
what's the guy from Cruiserweight?
Right, he fought Brian Jennings, who gave a hell of a fight to...
And wasn't even in proper shape for the fight, from what I understand.
What, he wasn't in shape for what fight?
For the fight against Ortiz.
Yeah, sorry, 1 second. My wife's just come in the ass. She's just come from training with her sexy self and trying to walk around. I'm trying to tell her that I'm doing an interview that's going live right now, but, you know. Anyway, go on. Luis Ortiz has...
Yeah. He's got skills. There's no doubt about it. He's got skills, but...
Got incredible skills.
Of course. I mean...
Luis Ortiz, King Kong's one of the best in the world. Right? And you look at the man's attitude and he's fighting, ring generalship. The guy's got a brain on him.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
But, you know...
He knows the car. He knows it, and he's very economical with his punches. He doesn't waste shots. He doesn't throw just for the sake of throwing. If he's throwing out shots, sometimes he'll push his right jab out a little bit wide just to fool you, for you to move into his left-hand power shot. He's a smart guy. You're a very, very clever guy. Well, look at his balance.
He's got, skill-wise, he probably is the best, most skilled heavyweight in the world, I would say.
Right. So,
but we know that guys have got skill is great, and so far he's been fantastic. His stamina is questionable. I mean, I still think his stamina is questionable, and he hasn't been really pushed by a guy, like I said, who's a puncher. So if he can take a great shot, then he is the complete package.
Yeah, he is.
Do you know what I'm saying? But if he fights a guy now and he gets hit on the chin and legs start doing a buckle, and do you know what I'm saying? It's a different scenario. If you've got a guy that, you know, takes a great shot, fantastic boxer, punches hard, complete package, you know, it's a different situation to, he hasn't fought many punches. He hasn't fought any punches. Is there a reason why he hasn't fought any punches?
No, the reason why he hasn't fought any punches is because the punchers who are around today don't want to go in with him.
Fearon was meant to fight him, had the contract, signed the contract. According to him, Ortiz didn't want any part of it and started putting the money up and priced himself out the fight.
Do you know what? I don't know about that, but what I do know is that he'd beat Fearon, and that's that. And that's right. So maybe he ain't fought this guy, ain't fought that guy. Wants the fights, hence why now we signed with Matchroom.
The first fight he fights is now against Malik Scott. Again, a very classy boxer. But
Malik Scott turns up, because you know what? I'm still disillusioned by Malik Scott being hit by the phantom punch from Deontay Wilder. And one thing I do know is that none of them was Ali and none of them was Sonny Liston, and we weren't in Lewiston, Maine at the time. So therefore, I have my reservations to an extent about him. But what I do know, if he's up for it, he will pose a problem.
Yeah, he's got the skills. He's another highly skilled heavyweight.
Yeah, yeah. But I don't know. Sometimes his eye gets the better of these guys, so I don't know.
Interesting. Povetkin and Fearon.
Povetkin and Fearon?
Yes.
That is a good fight.
I know.
But I would slightly favour Povetkin.
In Russia? Is that the reason why?
Now, because Povetkin is I would say Povetkin is the more rounded of the two.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a better punch economy, and throws the more educated punches. So I would go Povetkin. But you know what? Hey, Fearon, Haitian, good fighter. We don't know, man.
Okay. What are your thoughts about the fighters fighting weight divisions and jumping from 2 weight divisions up? Like the Brook fight, for example, and Khan going to fight Canelo. When they've got the skill set to fight and actually move up in weight and beat these guys, it's different. But when we know that guys like Brook and Khan, we're not giving them much of a chance going into these fights, what does that say about things today?
It's not a case about, you know what, we go to the murderers row. So let's go to the 1940s, right?
Okay.
We go to the 1940s, you know, it's 43. Ezra Charles fights Charlie Burley.
Okay.
Beats Charlie Burley. Within the duration of time that Ezra Charles has a rematch with Charlie Burley fights Holman Williams. And Holman Williams was something like 95-5 at the time. Beats Holman Williams. Then a few days later, goes and fights Charlie Burley again. Right? So Charlie Burley and Ezra Charles end up fighting twice in about 5 weeks. That's boxing, right? But the weight difference, Charlie Burley, I think, gave away around about 8 to 9 pounds against Ezra Charles. Right? And we all know what Charlie Burley done when Charlie Burley went in with Archie Moore. He battered the life out of Archie Moore. But in those days, the weight wasn't really that much of the factor. They say, well, come, let's go have it. Let's go make the fights. Right? But what's happened now, there are weight classes for a reason, and I do agree with it. But when it has been done where welterweights have moved up to middleweight, and it's only been 3 guys that have done it, and that's been for a reason, because the middleweight and welterweight divisions have been around for a century, that it's not easy. And the first man to ever do it was actually Sugar Ray Robinson when he moved up to, and that was 1951 against Jake LaMotta. So it's not easy. Second guy to do it was actually against Ray Robinson. You know what I mean? So it's not. You know what I mean? It's just not easy. And that was Carmen Brazilio when Carmen Brazilio beat Sugar Ray Robinson, and then Sugar Ray Robinson beat him in return. So, and that was an old Sugar Ray Robinson. So it's not easy to jump weights. But when they have done it, Carmen Brazilio didn't come in as a 160 fighter. Carmen Brazilio was 147 fighter, and he came in just a few pounds over the welterweight division. The last guy to do it was Emil Griffin. And when Emil Griffin fought Dick Tiger, Emil Griffin came in at, what did he come in? He gave away 9 pounds. Right. Meaning that, right, I'm not going to come in at this big weight. I think it was Gil Clancy's his former trainer used to say, I made my fighters come in at the weight that they could fight their best at. Don't be fooled. You're moving up, right. Lloyd Hannigan always used to say to me, it's not whether you're good enough or big enough to fight at the weight, it's whether you got the skill set. You're good enough for your skill set to move up in weight.
Okay, so skill set is key when moving up in weight.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with it has to be your skill. It's got to be a skill, your brains, your boxing aptitude, more than you are. I can make the weight and I'm going to be strong in the weight.
That's fair enough. Andre Ward, Kovalev, big fight.
Big fight. I've done the tactical breakdown with Ed Robinson, which is going to be shown before the fight. It's also going to be shown on Sky on demand. We've done that today for Sky, and I would definitely 100%. I've got Andre Ward big in this fight.
I have as well. My thoughts are, if you take away
11th round stoppage.
If you take away the punching power of Kovalev, which is what Andre Ward can do with his boxing ability, and he gets on the inside, it's a mismatch.
You know what? I wouldn't. You know, I had this. I don't know if you a few weeks ago. Me and Spencer Oliver went at each other on Joe, right? I mean, and I was telling him like this is a 70-30 fight. He's saying, right. But the reason why these fish and chips guys, right? And that's what I have to call.
Fish and chips guys. Man, you come up with some talk.
Right. The reason why these fish and chip guys will think that this is a 50-50 fight is because they don't look at the beauty and the genius of somebody like Andre Ward. Now, somebody like Ed Robertson now will tell you straight. He was been in the gym and he saw Andre Ward on the bag, and he said, "I've never seen anything like it." Well, I had to stop and know like everything that he was doing was precise, was classy, and there was purpose behind his work. Now, I saw his bag workout yesterday on Facebook Live, and I've shared it on my page. So if you want to see it, it's on my page. And he's incredible. Trust me, he is incredible, and he's a fighter that we'd have to think. In the 40s and 50s, the light heavyweight division was popping. We had really great fights. Eze Charles, Archie Moore, Joey Maxim. We could go on. Charlie Burley, who touched up there. Homer Williams. We had really good. Lloyd Marshall was another great fighter. We had really, really good guys in that division. I would say that at that time there in the 50s, late 40s and early 50s, great time for light heavyweight boxing. If we go to the 70s, we'd say that could have been a creme de la creme time, because in the 70s, Dwight Muhammad Quarry, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, Matthew Saad Muhammad. We had so many, Michael Spinks, Yaki Lopez. We could go on and on and on. There was Marvin Johnson. So many good fights, right? So many good. I think Andre Ward, in a way, how he demonstrates his skills, could have been mixing with these guys.
Absolutely.
And that's the truth. And I'm saying like that's how much that I rate him. I really do rate this guy.
One final thing before I pass you on to Bo. Sparring rumors. People getting knocked out, dropped in sparring, blah. When you hear these things, what's your reaction when you hear these things? You hear these rumors?
I'm saying, so what? Whether it's true or it's a lie, it's sparring. Nobody's not getting paid for it. Now, and the reason why, you know, like yesterday I had a FaceTime with Lennox. I was doing a class, and Lennox just called me on a FaceTime, and we had a really good chat. We was talking about the old days, and he was encouraging the people in my boxing class yesterday. Right? And Lennox Lewis allegedly got knocked out by Ross Purity, who was the first man to beat Vladimir Klitschko. Right? Got knocked out in sparring by him. But then you have to ask yourself this: Lennox Lewis amassed 150 million pounds from boxing. I guarantee you, Lennox Lewis would have about 100 million of that money. If he made 150 mil, he's got about 100 mil, because Lennox Lewis don't spend money.
Smart man.
And he's invested wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Ross Purity's in obscurity right now as a man that could have knocked out Lennox Lewis in sparring. I'm saying, bottom line, so what? Do you know what I mean? Bob Foster knocked down Muhammad Ali, or the then Cassius Clay, in sparring. Down when he was preparing to go off to the 1960 Olympics, right? But when they ended up fighting each other in 1972, what happened? So I'm saying to you, all of this is irrelevant. Now you hear it.
I know you say it's irrelevant, but I'm going to bring up 2 points to you. Point number 1 is, if a Price Joshua fight were to happen, if that rumor was true that Price did knock Joshua out in sparring, does that not change the mindset of the fighter?
True. It's true. That's what happened in sparring. And
I heard it's true, but
I think Joshua was an amateur. He was an amateur then, so what?
I heard this happened when he was a pro, not as an amateur.
That's a lie. It's when he was an amateur. He was getting ready for the 2012 Olympics, and they sparred, and he knocked him out. So, and what does that mean? Or knocked him down badly. So, and I'm telling you this now, so what? Do you know why? Because if there's a fight right now, I guarantee you, if I said, go put your house on it, who are you going to put your money on? You have to think about this.
Listen, if Price lands, I'm not saying anything.
Wait there, but who would you?
The favorite would be Anthony Joshua.
Wait there, so you think...
However, Spencer, you know as much as I know. If that punch, if a Price right hand lands on Joshua's chin, are you putting your money Joshua's going to stand up to that punch based on a Dillian White fight?
based on the Dylan White fight.
And this is David Price we're talking now. Forget about his chin. Otherwise, his punch power. You know that he's got one punch knockout power.
David Price lands on anybody, he's gonna knock him out.
That's my point.
If David Price lands on Luis Ortiz, he's gone. David Price lands on Tyson Fury, he's gone. David Price lands on anybody in the heavyweight division, they're gone. I don't care who you are.
Now, I'm gonna add to this point because you just said this. Now, supposedly, this rumor that's gone on, and you say that, well, it's all garbage and, well, it doesn't matter. Well, supposedly the story is that this incident happened with Joshua recently, and the trainers were saying, well, you know what? If Price is full of confidence, when he's got his confidence up, he's a very dangerous heavyweight. Let's not make that match with Price. Let's take Molina instead. Do you see any?
It was Showtime that wanted Molina. Hence why Molina is, because, you know, Andy Joshua got to deal with Showtime. And they said, no, not David Price, because he's got 3 losses on his career, even though the 3 losses have been against drug cheats.
Drug cheats.
Yeah, but it's still 3 losses.
But Molina's been tuned in around. He's been knocked out by Wilder. I mean, so...
Yeah, but it's the manner in which Molina comes to fight.
Okay, well...
And not only that, but in America, they don't want to see 2 Brits. It's going to be too hard for them to sell. But they can sell, all right, then they can most probably sell or push for the Molina fight.
Okay, I'm going to hand you over to my man, Bo, because I'm sure he's got a lot of things to say to you. Very quickly, hand you over to Bo. Bo?
Hey, how's it going, man?
What you saying, big man?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for taking this time out. I'm going to try to keep it short. You know, my man Ingram can be kind of long-winded sometimes. I like him, though. You know, you made a very good point about Molina. If you're trying to establish Anthony Joshua as a transfer athlete from British to American, then you have to put him in there with an American opponent, which Molina is an American opponent, and he's well known. And like you said, he gave a good account for himself. So I think that was – I didn't know Showtime wanted him. But I do agree with you that ever since we heard it was Molina, that's the talk over here in America now. Well, you know, Molina will come to fight, and, you know, he's one of ours.
Right.
You know?
That is the job, brother, because we know, like, how Molina is. Molina comes to fight. Regardless about how he is, that he's lost, he will still come to fight. He's called a drummer boy. You know what I mean?
Right.
He'll fight. He may get his whooping and a beatdown, which we all expect him to get a beatdown, but at least he will come to fight. And if somebody comes to fight, that makes it entertaining. And
well,
we want to be entertained.
That, and I think I don't know over in the UK, but here in America, we love fights where there's this hope chance, like the joint, like you mentioned, Foreman and Moore. Foreman was 40 years old, but there was this hope he'll beat him. Same thing with Hopkins and Kovalov. Americans kind of fall for that hope drama when a fight is taking place.
Yeah, it's because Americans ain't that smart. But what I'm trying to say to you is like that's good that they want that hope kind of thing. I just think like they need an American name, but then you have to remember that this is also a business, and to make things viable, it's like at what cost can we get you? Now, if it's the difference between, I don't know, $750,000, right? Then you would pick Molina over Price because Molina is going to come cheaper, right? Molina is going to say, I'm available. I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to try my best. David Price is going to be a little bit more, you know, what I used to think. I was the Commonwealth heavyweight champ. I've knocked out Joshua in sparring. I've done this and blah, 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 blah. And I want part of the revenue stream that's going to be produced by pay-per-view. And that kind of, and I spoke to Dave Coolwell, who is the trainer of David Price prior to all of the ballyhoo about this fight happening. So, and that's where his mind was at. His mind was like, yeah, well, if the money's right as well, we'll take it.
That's true. I like what you said about the criticism. I think a lot of time people have to understand is, you know, that tag of racism is always going to be there, regardless of whether you're doing a good job or a bad job. I think most of the time, and maybe you can enlighten me, most of the time I think when people use that, Like a lot of times I hear people drop their racism tag when you're hitting them with facts, and their only comeback is to say that right there.
You know what? Sensible people can't call that. It's only the little. You see, unfortunately, we're in social media age right now. So when you're dealing with social media, you're just gonna get idiots, and a lot of these idiots aren't doing anything. They ain't in no jobs. All they're doing at home is they live off for you. So you give them purpose. So anything that you tweet out or anything, they'll be on you, this, that. And then sometimes for fun, you just engage with them. You just engage with them to give their life purpose. But then sometimes, just like as Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we got to go high.
Right. I agree. What would your advice be to guys who are watching this and they're trying to start their way into transitioning over into doing what we're doing right now? What would your advice be to guys who want to get to this level that you're at and Ingram Jones is at?
Well, without being cocky, Ingram Jones ain't on my level. But what I'm trying to say to you is like, we got Ingram knows, man. He knows his place, right? he lost. He knows it's true. No, I'm just saying this. It's like graft. You really just got to graft. You got to graft. And the thing about it is this: if I said to you 10 years ago or 15 years ago that you can have your own TV station, but in fact, you can have your own TV station, but you can do a direct link up to other people in other studios around the world, and you can do it from your handset. You'd think you're crazy, right?
Right.
But what you're doing right now, okay? And people use this now to make revenue streams. So I say to people like to go out and make as much links as you can in this game, and to be taken seriously is you gotta write something, because I think it's Marcus Garvey that famously said that the pen is mightier than the sword, but the tongue is mightier than them both. So you got to realize, like, the things that your words have power. Now, your words can either build up or they can destroy. So do your best to try and use your words to build up. Now, everyone thinks, right, in the world that we're living in, we just got to be controversial and find information on people and slag them off. But that's not really showing the person up. That's actually showing how kind of useless and rubbish your life is. So, I mean, I'm one of these people that I'd rather build up than try and go out to destroy. I just want to build up, folks. But what I can't take is the fish and chips people, and like I call them fish and chips who don't know the sport, right? They're not even, they're casual fans, but they believe that they actually know this stuff. So, and they don't know the stuff, so then they're gonna look on somebody who actually does know the stuff and criticize it.
I'm glad you said that. I call them YouTube highlight watchers myself. Yeah. I fought in the amateurs. I've been following this sport. I'm actually born into this sport. I think a lot of times what you find out is people only will follow the popular fighters and more current event of the fighters instead of looking way back and looking at the history of it.
Listen, 110%. It's like, I'm not, like I said, fighters know. Now, from the time I'm in Mayweather's gym, and this is on film as well, Ellie Setchback's got this on film, when Roger Mayweather said, yeah, this mother effer, he knows boxing. That's it. Right? Right. Now, that's it. Because the people know I study this thing. I study this sport. And what I realized, I'm actually very fortunate to make my passion become my paycheck. It's not been easy, but I've had to humble myself on certain things. And I would say to any young kid who's trying to get into this, humble yourself. You know what I mean? Humble yourself. Because if you don't humble yourself, then life will find a way to humble you. Humble yourself. When you're walking in, humble yourself. But also study. And that's the most important thing. Study. You know what I mean? Read. It's so important. Because you got to remember, language is the currency of the mind.
Language is just
right. So I like to listen to, and I'm fortunate. Like, my wife's got incredible diction. Yeah, my children have got incredible diction for the simple reason because I will read, but I learn from my wife. I learn from my father-in-law. I learn from, you have to learn from your elders. I learn from these people. So that I learn from, they're the ones that raised me up. and I'll nick things. Because my father-in-law is actually a preacher, so there's certain times when I'm at church, I do motivational speaking for Sky Sports, but I'll steal parts of his sermon and just twist it to the Spencer Fearon kind of stuff. So I would say to any young kid trying to do this thing, just study, man. Seriously, it's so important to study. And I see this, like Babatunde Ajayi, the trainer who trains Anthony Yard, who's a really good light heavyweight prospect right now, unbeaten light heavyweight prospect. And Tunde's one of my closest mates, and he's exactly the same. He's a guy, he will study. And like, he was doing pad work. Now everyone copies his pad work. Now imagine this. Everyone copies this guy's pad work. And this guy writes his combinations down. So he's got books of, seriously, books of combinations. See how crazy that is? Books of combinations where he's working out on how to diffuse fighters or and stuff like that. Books of combinations. He's got more combinations than a safe breaker. So I'm saying, be ready to do the extreme. When you're doing this thing, you have to be ready to do the extreme. And then once you do it, and you keep on perfecting your craft, then it will come to you. Seriously, it will come to you.
And you know, and I just want to say, I'm half Cuban, by the way. So, you know, I'm gonna fly to Ireland, and I'm gonna get my hands on Ingram because he's killing me talking about my man Luis Ortiz. But what's your favorite weight division, and who do you think is the future of boxing right now?
The future of boxing.
Yeah,
a couple of guys. I think Errol Spence, future of boxing. I really like Errol Spence for a southpaw. He doesn't look an awkward, ugly southpaw. He's very, very good. He's got, what do you say, girth. Got incredible balance, and knows how to set you up. Like he'll throw little, maybe 3 or 4 tippy tappy shots. Then he'll come hard with that right hook, straight down the pipe with a power shot left hand. I think he's very, very good. The kid I just mentioned, Anthony Yard, I could see him winning major titles. If you haven't seen him yet, brother, please go and watch this kid, Anthony Yard. He boxed on the Canelo Liam Smith undercard. Very good talent. Very good talent. There's a guy over in the UK right now called O'Hara Davis, who's fighting at 140. He's a good fighter. Brian McGuigan's got a very good 140 fight called Josh Taylor, who was a Commonwealth gold medalist a few years back, who turned pro. He's only got a handful of fights, like 7 fights, but he's now the Commonwealth champ. He's very, very good. And there's a couple other guys coming up on the horizon who I would say to be looking out for. A lot of people are giving criticism to Conor Benn, Nigel Benn's son.
Yeah.
But he's a good fighter. And once Conor Benn finds himself, for him to know, like, okay, well, this is what I got to go and do. I don't have to try and fight like my dad. He's going to be very good because he's naturally athletic. He's got good punching power. His balance is coming, but he's very quick. He throws like 3s and 4s. I like the look of him. Paulie Malignaggi did the commentary for his last fight, and even Paulie was saying the same thing. I like the look of this kid.
One last question, man. This is a what-if scenario. Okay, who wins this fight? James Toney versus Bernard Hopkins, 160 pounds.
At 160?
Yeah, 160.
Oh, man. You know what? It's hard. You know what? It's a hard fight to go with, because what's happened is Bernard Hopkins has got greater the longer that he's gone on.
Yes.
Like, Bernard Hopkins was a master at 160, but yet he's a master at 160, but you still got outworked. Even if you want to scream robbery, but Jermaine Taylor outworked you. And with James Toney, I don't think James Toney won the first Mike McCullum fight. I think Mike McCullum beat him the first fight. Mike McCullum was my man. I love Mike McCullum. So it is a very, very difficult fight. But Bernard Hopkins never ever had a dodgy decision at 160. We have to say that at 160, I would say James Toney had dodgy decisions. The Dave Tabere fight, come on, man. You lost that fight. So I'd have to pick Bernard Hopkins.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And I will be following you and listening to you from now on.
Now, listen, brother, man. It's like I'm saying, I'm honored to be on the show. This, like I'm saying, like Ingram show's growing, And the major thing is this: for the mere fact that you said, "Oh yeah, the show's great," I'm saying, "Cool, man. I'll do the show. I'm in my bed right now." But I say, I'll do the show, because the guy loves boxing. I remember when he just started in this game, and when he just started the game, he didn't know nothing about boxing. He just liked the game. And now the guy sat down and, like I'm saying, he studied. He knows the game now. Knows the game. I've got a lot of time for him. Plus, he's got a beautiful wife as well.
I agree. I agree to that. I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know why she's doing this to herself, though. I'm gonna have words with her next time.
Spencer, question.
Yes, sir.
Chris Eubank Jr.
Yep.
If you're managing him, what do you do with him now?
What I do if I was managing Chris Eubank Jr. right now? I would bring him over to the States, and I would make a fight with William Monroe.
You'd need his dad's approval, correct? So how would you get past his dad?
No, but you said if I'm managing him, then the dad wouldn't have no say, would he?
Well, certain trainers have tried to work with the dad being involved in.
No,
so
but I'm always a hypothetical, and to the hypothetical, to your diction, you said if I was managing Chris Eubank Jr., what would I do with him?
So, all right, okay, so
if I'm managing him, the dad hasn't got nothing to do with him. You need advice to give Chris Eubank Jr. I would say to Chris Eubank Jr. to do what you're doing. Regardless of the outcome of what's happening, you're doing what's right for you.
And what's happening with him now, currently in the real world, and his career, is it wasting away, or is he being strategic about what he's doing?
Listen, if he fights the big fights and he beats the big name fighters, then we're going to say what him and his father did was genius. But if he doesn't get that opportunity, which it seemingly looks like everybody's like mounting against him, you've never seen Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn agree.
Eddie Hearn.
But they both agree on how difficult it is to work with Chris Eubank Sr. But what I'm saying is, Chris Eubank Sr. has to do that because that is Chris Eubank Sr. So I'm not knocking Chris Eubank Sr. for being awkward or anything else like that. Because
You're not protecting his son.
Yeah, it's his. Thank you very much. It's his son. But then sometimes, was it Nietzsche that said, like, be careful of the demons that you're fighting or the monsters that you're fighting, because that you don't become the monster in the time that you're fighting them. And also, like, if you stare in the abyss long enough, the abyss will stare back at you. So sometimes we create demons that are not there. That, all right, this game's so shady, and look what happened to me, and this, that, and all the rest of it. And I want the intellectual property rights for my son when he fights. I hear all of that, and I rate you. But sometimes you got to give a little to get a little.
No, I just want to add one. I want to add one thing. I think a lot of people don't understand. Chris Eubank Sr. was kind of difficult to deal with when he was a fighter. So it's not
any different with his son. Then it's not gonna be no different.
Yep, I was just going to say, because it's his son, he's going to be over because this is his son.
Right, exactly. And let me tell you this: I interviewed Chris Eubank. I had to Joshua versus Brazil, and Chris Eubank Jr. was on the undercard against Tom Doran. So I had to interview Chris Eubank Sr. Prior to the fight to speak about the occasion and Joshua. I was doing it for Sky TV. So we're there, we got the camera set up. I said, right, and there's a backdrop. The backdrop, because at the top of the bill was Anthony Joshua and Dominic Brazil. And Chris Eubank Sr. said to me, haven't we got a picture of Junior? But right, he wanted right. This is bad. Where's my son? Where's my son? So this is how he, so if he's like this is just how he is. So I understand Chris Eubank, but I do know that he can be difficult. But what I'm saying is he's being difficult. He's always giving me firm and solid advice, especially now that I'm doing the TV stuff. His advice has been genuine. He will phone me up. He will lecture me, right? Tell me the things that I should be doing, how I should be doing it, and stuff like that. I don't have to agree with everything, but for the mere fact that, as far as I'm concerned, he's an iconic boxing legend, taking his time out to advise me, that's cool.
Final point, Spencer, we're going to close on, is back to Sky Sports commentary. And on Saturday or Friday night, we're sitting down watching a fight. And the commentators are commentating the fight. You can clearly see what they're saying is not tallying up with what's going on in the fight. Why is this the case happening week in, week out?
Well, that's, you know what? It's like you're saying that. I don't see that. I think guys like Dave Coolwell, Matthew Macklin, they are not just boxing colleagues. These are my boxing brothers. I think they're doing a good job. It's a new job for Dave as well.
But Dave's pretty good at what he does, and no knocking Dave there.
Right. So I'm saying like it's relatively new for those guys. I think Paul Smith's very good. I couldn't complain about, like, they're trying to rejuvenate and rejiggerate Sky now, right?
Okay.
So as they're doing that, I mean, I'm not. It's not for me to cast aspersions on any of these guys. I think they're all.
Let me give you an example here, Spence. I watched Scotty Cardell watch a fight Kevin Hooper. Now, the commentary team was saying Cardell was ducking and slipping and missing punches. He was getting hit bang with jabs over and over and over again. He's getting caught with right hands. He couldn't get out of the way of punches. Yet the commentary team was saying, hey, he's slipping, he's ducking, No, we're not seeing that. And I'm not the only one. You see on every Friday, Saturday night, you're seeing it when there's commentaries on. And you think to yourself, well, come on, don't be biased. Just the commentary team's there to give us a fair analysis of what's going on between two guys fighting the ring. But it seems to be very biased to the guy that's fighting, the home fighter or the fighter that's the favorite fighter. So
sometimes when you're looking for certain things, then you're gonna find it. All right. And I think because you're looking for it, because you're at the standpoint where you watch it and you're thinking, oh well, this is critical or that's critical. I think now with the shake-up they have, I think they are giving a fair analysis. Whether or not you're gonna agree with what they're saying, then you're not. But that's what is the beauty of the game. That's what makes it so subjective. How many times have we seen fights go on split decision and one judge go really wide, the other judge have it by a round, and the other judge goes the other way?
But okay, even there, Spencer.
Boxing, my friend.
Paulie Malignaggi was on the commentary team. He basically said, he was talking about the referee being biased. He basically said, look, if UK are going to have boxing here and it's going to be a hub for boxing, then they've got to ensure that things are clean cut and there's no dodgy judging and all the rest of it. This is what Paulie Malignaggi said, and he was in the commentary team saying that.
What fight was he speaking about in particular?
Well, I'm sure somebody put it up. I can't remember the fight. It was quite recent.
Ricky Burns fight, was it?
What's that?
The Ricky Burns fight?
No. No, the Collar fight. I think it was the Collar fight. Collar against
Leonardis. Corella against Leonardis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Linares won the fight. The right man won the fight, right?
Yes.
So, and like I'm saying, the fight in boxing is subjective. Linares won the fight, not hands down, but he won it wide. But people don't seem to, in my eyes, I gave it to Linares. I think I had scored that fight 116, 113, right? You can have a close fight, but it'd be wide. It's just that somebody could have lost every single round, but it's still a close fight. But sometimes, you know, when you're on foreign ground or home soil for the champion, anything you do, you could throw a punch and a breeze goes past the guy, but it'll be scored because people in the back of the auditorium will see it a certain way and start screaming, and that could influence the judges. Of course, it's going to influence the judges. You know what I mean? Now, promoting shows where I know, like on certain things, it's influence the judges. This is just how it goes. The crowd will influence you. So maybe the judges need to be in another outside, not even ringside. Have to be out away
headphones.
Yeah, with headphones on. Yeah, because you will get influenced. How many times you watch the fight with your friends, right? Or say all of us now on this chat and watching a fight, and as we're watching a fight, I'm saying to you, nah, he definitely won this round. The shot says thing, and in your head to think, nah, he never. But I will influence you because I'm saying, nah. You saying, well, Spencer knows the game, so maybe he's right. Or you will say, nah, he didn't win it. I'll say, well, you know what? I know Ingram knows the game. Maybe Ingram's right. Do you understand? And then that could be influence. So this is the game.
But as you know, Spence, there are different ways to look at the game. Some judges like attacking fighting. Some guys like counter punching. Some guys like work rate. Other guys like seeing people miss, making them pay and counting. It all depends.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with you. I agree with you 100%. But when you're saying like, oh, but the Sky team, I'm saying, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like you working at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting paid your money a week at McDonald's, and
Mm-hmm.
I come in to buy a Big Mac, and you say, you know what, Spence? I think you should go across the road to Burger King and buy a Whopper.
Of course, you've got to defend it as well. You would do. I can understand that.
But the thing about it is this: I'm not naively defending Sky. I'm saying Sky have got a lot better, and the biggest room is the room.
Well, I would disagree with you there, straight up. You had Ian Dark. Don't tell me that it's got better since Ian Dark, because Ian Dark was a bad man. You know he was a bad man.
Ian Dark was the Don.
All right. So you can't tell me it's gotten better. It's gotten worse. It hasn't got better. It's got worse.
What I'm trying to say to you is that
okay, wait. What's Rawling? Not Rawling. What's his name?
Nick Pauling.
Nick Pauling. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Nick Pauling. Yeah, him. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying you can't compare Nick Pauling to Ian Dark and say it's gotten better. Now, come on, Spence.
All I'm saying is this. I'm to let you know now. Adam Smith is better than Nick Pauling.
All right, he's better than Nick Pauling, but he's nowhere in the class of Ian Dark.
No, but nobody is in the class of Ian Dark. Right? Ian Dark used to do radio. I remember Ian Dark commentating on Sambu Colombi versus Harold Graham, 1987.
Okay.
For the European.
Okay.
That way.
Okay.
Abbott Hall. So
you remember the ringside show back in the day?
Yeah.
With Paul Dempsey and the other guy that was there, and
yeah, I remember. I was on that show when I was an up and coming pro. So yeah.
Right. Come on, that was a great show back in the day, and I don't want to be like. Can you say things have gotten better? In some ways, things have gotten better, but in some ways, I kind of feel like we've lost out on a lot of the.
Right. All I got to say is this: things have got better for myself. Ringside Toe to Toe podcast.
Of course, can't knock that.
It's constantly top 10 on iTunes, so it must have got better on something, right? Must have.
Of course, the toe to toe, we can't knock that, and that's not what I'm getting at, because you did a fantastic job on that. But back to the commentary, it hasn't gotten better. I can't agree with you on that.
You know what? I'm just saying, like, the biggest room is a room for improvement, and I think that the guys there, they're my boxing brothers, and it's only going to improve.
Paulie Malignaggi is a great addition. He's a great addition. This guy, absolutely. That's great.
He's excellent, and you know what? Please God, one day I'll be doing.
You and him together doing commentary would be amazing.
Well, the more people that tweet that out, and the more people that say that, is the more the powers that be may listen to it, because they listen to social media and they listen to guys like yourself who say this. But like I said, you can't stop God's progression.
Eventually, who knows, in time it'll probably happen. Spencer Fearon, let me take a look. Let me see that top. Let everyone see that top before you disappear, because that's a great top you got there.
Oh, mate. There we go. That is my Muhammad Ali top.
I've got something to tell you, Spencer, before you disappear. You know that in Grenada, the Muhammad Ali's pro debut, the ring that he made his pro debut is actually in Grenada, and I was in it when I was in Grenada. Absolutely amazing, phenomenal.
Okay. Who's his pro debut against?
Go on, you tell me whose pro debut was against.
Oh man,
I don't know. You tell me. You're the knowledge. I'm not.
Tommy Hunsucker. But yeah.
Right, and the second thing is, my uncle is the only journalist to have interviewed Ali 5 times when he was in the country, when he's been in the UK.
Yeah. Well, then you're coming from a great line of lineage, my friend, and continue.
Never match that.
Right. Let me in the States as well. Big up you. I'm going to bed now. It's my bedtime.
And the show is coming to an end.
Right. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure, Spence.
Just keep up the good work, all right, brother? Take care. God bless.
Absolutely. All the best. Spencer Ron, thank you so much for talking to BAYLORIC TV. We appreciate you. See you soon. So there you have it, people. Spencer Fearon on the show. No fake, no fraud. One and only Spencer Fearon. Bo, we're about to wrap up. Is there any closing thoughts you have?
just people got to realize and understand that we love this sport, and guys like myself, guys like you, guys like Spencer. I'm not nowhere near where you guys are, but when you start out not making no money, but you do it because of the passion. So if anybody want to get into this, get into it because you love the sport. Get into it because it's in your heart. Because if you get into it for money, then that's where the corruption starts, and that's where it starts. That's where the corruption starts. That's where the information being passed out properly starts, and you'll only be as successful as those you align yourself with. But this is a great sport. And I mean, there's nothing better than this sport. I love it. Ingram love it. And I'm just glad to have this opportunity. But pay attention to my man Ingram. Follow all fighters, regardless of race, gender, or ethnicity. And next time that my man Ingram, hablando malo de mi paisano de país de la Cuba, Luis Ortiz, me voy a traer por los hocico la cabeza.
Just a thought on Manny Pacquiao this weekend. He just looks like, I hate to say the term, a slave being pulled out of the barn to fight yet again. It's just horrible watching it all. It's just like, I can't help but feeling sorry for Manny. That he damn well wanted to retire. He damn well wanted to retire. And when he made that retirement speech, he was like, that's it. No more boxing. And then he gets a call from Uncle Bob. Manny, I need you to fight again. You got to pay those debts off, Manny. Oh, Bob. No, Bob. I don't want to fight. No more fighting, Bob. You can imagine a conversation like, Manny, get the gloves on.
He owed Bob Arum one more fight. Now, we're going to find out. Now, here's what we're going to find out a lot. If he wins this fight and he signs a contract for a couple more fights, then we're going to have to reevaluate, was it Bob or is it Manny? Because if you re-sign for more fights, but, you know what? I like this fight because there's some intangibles that Jesse Vargas has that makes you think, man, he has a very good chance here.
People are saying that I think Fearon said that Vargas' punch KO has gone up. However, the statistics say that he's only had one knockout in X amount of fights. So Bob Arum staying in the fight again.
Well, you know what? And his punch KO went up. But here's the thing about Vargas. Vargas is taller. Vargas, like the guys that normally give Manny Pacquiao problems are guys that can box and counterpunch. Although Vargas has the height and reach advantage, will he employ that strategy? Because he's not known as a boxer. You know what I'm saying? He's not known as a mover. If he goes in there and tries to go to war with Manny, the question is, which Manny Pacquiao are we going to get? Are we going to get the Manny who got saved and went to church? Or quote my man from Guard Your Grill, ROD, are we going to get, Tinky the street killer Manny?
We're going to get Ghetto Manny.
Right. So depends on what Manny we see, because like you said, he was in retirement. And sometimes when you're in retirement, that's where your mind is. Even when you come out of a fight, your mind still is in retirement. So we need to see, is he Manny, or is he Manny that's kind of still in retirement?
I was concerned, even though he knocked down Bradley twice and all the rest of it, I was still concerned that Bradley was able to shake Manny up. That's what concerned me. Is his durability still the same, or has it gone? I'm concerned because watching him getting rocked like that by Tim Bradley, who's not known as a Hall of Fame puncher or anything like that, that was disturbing.
I think here's the thing that people got to understand. And I said this. And you may agree, Ingram, if you go back and you look to when he got knocked out by Marquez, this was the greatest comeback that Manny had by never fighting a threat. He fought Brandon Rios, who just lost to Mike Alvarado, so he wasn't a big threat. Brandon Rios only had like a 30% knockout ratio. Then he fought Timothy Bradley, a guy that he felt he beat in the first place, so he wasn't a threat. Then you fought a guy that had 20 fights with only like 5 knockouts in Chris Algieri. Okay, so you have these fights where none of these dudes were really threats. 2 of these guys you already felt you could beat. Then you fight Floyd Mayweather, and I told everybody, we never got to see where his mindset was after the Marquez knockout. He was never tested to see where he was after the Marquez knockout. So what happens when you get in there with Tim Bradley? And like you said, Bradley hurt him, but Manny still felt he could beat Bradley, so that didn't overcome him. But what happens when he gets in there with this young guy, Jesse Vargas, who hurts him? And you don't know, like, you can beat. There's a difference when you know you can beat somebody versus when you don't know you can beat somebody, okay? But you get in there with Jesse Vargas, and this is a young guy who's on you, and he's coming at you and coming at you and coming at you. What happens to your mental state? Do you revert back to the Marquez fight? Or do you say, hey, wait a minute, I'm Manny Pacquiao, and then you rise above? That's what I'm finding interesting about this, right? Because one thing about Vargas, he has a motor. Vargas has a motor. He is well-conditioned, and he's coming to fight because he wants to be in the mix with all these other 147-pound guys. He wants to be mentioned amongst all of these dudes. So I like it.
Who's your money on?
Huh?
Who's your money on?
Oh, my money's on Manny Pacquiao. my money's on Manny Pacquiao because the one thing about Manny Pacquiao, he's never lost to a fighter who wasn't of elite level status quota. Like, don't give me back when he was 14 and 15 and he was, didn't know the sport and all that. I'm talking about when he was Manny Pacquiao that we remember.
But how much of it is left? Is there enough of him, or was there enough deteriorated from him now for us to bet against him to make some money on the night?
I think he has enough experience. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it is the experience factor. He has enough experience. He still has a lot of people who want to see him redeem himself from the Mayweather fight, from the supposed shoulder injury and all of those things. So there's still some people that kind of want to see him redeem himself. And, the one thing about our heroes is we love them until it's time for them to go. And the thing about boxing is if you don't go on your own, boxing will send you away. That's the thing about boxing.
He has gone already. I think Manny Pacquiao should have gone already, personally.
Oh, yeah. Look, say what you want to say about Floyd. Floyd left on his terms. Okay? The man left on his terms. He'll come back on his terms. With the Manny Pacquiao situation, it just doesn't feel that way, like you said. It doesn't feel like he came back on his terms. It doesn't feel like that. And
it just feels all wrong, completely wrong.
Well, here's the thing about coming back. When you come back, like when Floyd Mayweather come back, if he's not fighting Gennady Golovkin, nobody wants to see it. Well, here's the thing about coming back is when you come back, Manny comes back, now he fights Jesse Vargas. But guess what? People are going to want to see him against Thurman. They're going to see him against Brooks. They're going to see him against Spence. They're not going to want to see him fight Timothy Bradley for the 5th time or Marquez. They're not going to want to see that. Because that's the era we are transitioning in year by year through social media is more of a hungry or bloodlust type era that we're living in.
Yeah, absolutely. If Manny Pacquiao were to get beat by Vargas,
I think if Manny Pacquiao gets beat by Vargas, what I don't want to happen, I don't want to diminish Vargas' victory by saying it was a washed-up Manny Pacquiao to begin with. I don't want that's my biggest concern. Is I don't want people to say that. Don't diminish this boy's victory by telling me how Pacquiao was diminished. He just beat Bradley soundly not too long ago.
Well, people are saying that this is just a bigger version of Brandon Rios.
Who, Vargas?
Yes.
Yeah, I think. See, it's a bigger version, but it's also a more hungrier version. Because the thing about Brandon Rios, and I like Bam Bam, but the thing about Brandon Rios was you realize at a certain point with Brandon Rios, this was it for him. Like, the Mike Alvarado trilogy, that was pretty much, you realize at a certain point, okay, he's not going to go no further than this because Brandon Rios has weight issues. He has problems making weight. He balloons up in between weight. And I'm not going to say discipline, but to a certain degree, we don't know if Brandon Rios is in or out. Like, I know what gets his fire burning is whenever Victor Ortiz opens his mouth, his fire gets burning because he can't stand Victor Ortiz.
That's what I want to see.
Right, but outside of that, think about it. Have you really ever heard Brandon Rios talk about anybody else in the manner he does Victor Ortiz? So, to a certain degree, you can question his hunger for the game.
Absolutely. Any other fights what's his name fights? I think as well on the weekend, the Is the Filipino Flash fight this weekend as well?
Donito Donaire is fighting a guy named Maldingo.
Yes.
And you know, Donito Donaire is very. It's a strange story when you talk about Donito Donaire. He was a guy who at one point was number 3 pound for pound. And Ingram, you know this. And this is the thing when you talk to people that know boxing, when you say certain stuff, that's why when I was listening to Spence, you know, and talking to you and talking to some of the other people who I'm on here with, it makes me feel good about my knowledge because I'm like, I say that every day. Like, I say that every day. But the thing about Nonito Donaire was people got Nonito Donaire confused as a talented fighter because he was winning, but it was just he had advantages in the ring of always being the bigger guy. So when he got in there with talent, you saw he wasn't as talented as we thought he was, because when he got in there with the talented guys like Rigos and Nicholas Walters, you found out there was a lot of holes in his game.
But having said that, was Nonito Donaire's career nicely around the time where Pacquiao was doing his stuff as well? People look at Pacquiao fights and look at Donaire. Do you not feel that there was that almost, okay, Donaire's not Pacquiao, but did you not feel at that time that Donaire had benefits of Pacquiao fighting at the time? Do you understand what I'm trying to say there?
Yes, I totally agree with that. He benefited from it just like, and that's just the chain of the sport. Like, you have guys who have benefited, like everyone, all the heavyweights during the Mike Tyson era benefited from fighting in the Mike Tyson era, and even fighting Mike Tyson. You know, Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield. Okay, same thing with Floyd. Whether you know, even though he never lost nobody, but all those guys that fought him benefited from fighting Floyd because they went on to do other and bigger, better things. Either after losing to him. I mean, look at where Canelo is after fighting Floyd. Look at where Andre Berto got his revenge fight against Victor Ortiz after fighting Floyd. Mike Donna is retired. So he benefited from having Pacquiao there, and to his credit, he was knocking guys out also.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So not only was he benefited from having him there, he's knocking dudes out also. And so, you know, such is the chain of life. We want a sidekick for the hero. Pacquiao's the hero. Now we want the sidekick, and that was Donaire.
Donaire, yeah. And I mean, I was watching the Walters fight, and I knew he was going to get absolutely smashed. It was just, you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
you knew it was coming. Donaire, is he a guy that should still be boxing, or is he another one that should be retired?
I think, honestly speaking, at first I struggled with this because I'm a person that feels like, listen, a fighter has to decide when it's time for them to go. And like, again, I say this all the time, you know this and I know this, okay? Boxing will let you know when you're done with it. You know, I fought in the amateurs, you're fought in the amateurs, and there's whatever reasons are, there's a reason why we're not pro fighters, you know? Okay? You know, so boxing let you know when you're done with it. When Nonito Donaire, he had a fight recently before this fight where he went life or death with this guy that he should have washed. And when that happens, it's like, no, man, it might be time for you to think about going. Like, think about if Manny Pacquiao beats Jesse Vargas, but he struggles to beat Jesse Vargas. People are going to feel like Manny Pacquiao may need to hang it up, because when you're at this level and you're struggling with someone below you, it might be time for you to let it go.
Do you think he pays Uncle Bob off in this fight with Vargas?
No.
Because pay-per-view numbers with Bradley wasn't that great, were they?
No, pay-per-view numbers with Bradley, I think, was maybe under 500. It wasn't that much. No, which one? The last one?
The last one.
Oh, 300. It was somewhere around the 300.
And then this fight's not on pay-per-view, is it? It's,
this fight is on pay-per-view because HBO.
They were talking it wasn't going to be pay-per-view, and HBO didn't want to show it, and so
no, it's pay-per-view.
So who's showing the fight then?
Top Rank is doing it themselves. They're doing their own Top Rank pay-per-view.
So how are people going to see that fight then?
Huh?
People going to have to watch it online or what?
You know, because of the age of technology and communication, I think you're never going to get pay-per-views to be what they used to be because, like you said, people have alternative ways of watching fights, especially if they think they're not good fights. Right. If it's a good fight, people will support it. If it's not a good fight, people are not going to support it. So you can buy it online. I'm not going to lie, man. If I find a good stream site, I'm going to stream that fight. I just don't see me paying $60 for a fight like that.
I know this sounds stupid. For a second, but Manny Pacquiao in the UK?
That's not, you know what? That's not crazy at all.
In terms of making money?
No, that's not crazy at all. He can make money. See, look at Roy Jones when he went to Russia to make, and they loved him over there, and they gave him a huge contract to fight. Look at, there's a reason why fighters, Canelo, who else? Gennady Golovkin. There's a reason why fighters are Errol Spence with Kell Brooks. There's a reason why fighters want to fight over in the UK. There's a reason for that. You know, America isn't the only game anymore. You know, and when you have not just about, it's not so much as about money, it's about appreciation. And you guys as UK fans appreciate these fights. Rigo couldn't have fought Dickens and sold out over here in America like he did over in the UK. Because you guys support your fighters.
I'm going to drop a little bit of political news, which I read today, which is a bit alarming. I don't know how that's going to affect America, Europe, USA. I'm hearing a story that came out from because I live in Ireland, the premier here. They don't have a prime minister. They've got something else they've got out here called a TV, I think. That's how they call it. I've been there 2 years. Still don't understand it. But it's like the Irish prime minister. He basically said that the Brexit, the 50 clause, which separates the UK from Europe, could be activated. Clause 50 could be activated as soon as December 2016. This year, December, UK could leave Europe.
Wow.
What impact does that have on world boxing if they were to activate that clause in December?
That could have a huge impact. That could have a huge impact. It depends on governmental views, governmental environments, the ability to work together, television. It could have a huge impact, but then again, at the same time, that impact could be nullified because of the internet. So you can still get your fight via the internet. I think boxing, if that happens, I think UK boxing, you may see a change in UK boxing on how you're viewing it to get a lot of these fights.
What about the fights itself? How does that affect the economy? If the UK they've decided to exit Europe, and how does that affect America's relationship and the pound, and the new pound that's coming out as well? How does that affect things?
Anytime there's a change of global scale of such nature, it has a global chain reaction effect, because what people have to understand is, no matter how big a country is, every country depends on another country economically for growth. Okay, if when we had the 2008 crash here in America, that was felt all around the world. All right, if you have a crash in the UK, we feel that because we depend on, certain aspects of our finances depend on the UK. If Japan crashes, so it could have a I'm not going to say the same effect as 2008, but it can have an effect where we're hearing about it on a really constant basis. Because at the end of the day, if anybody knows anything about IRAs, stocks, and bonds, when you're looking at those investments, those investors, they're not American. They're from all over the globe. And you have to pay attention to that, because when the Dow drops, when gold drops, when global investment net drops, that's global. That's everybody feels that.
Wow. Tomorrow's the press conference, I understand, of Dillian White versus Derek Chisora, and Eric Molina versus Anthony Joshua. Any final thoughts about those four?
I'm hoping Dillian White wins and he gets another crack at Anthony Joshua. Although I don't think he's going to get his crack at Anthony Joshua until Joshua fights Klitschko. I don't think they're going to put Joshua in another fight if he wins this fight into the Klitschko fight. But I'm hoping he wins. I'm hoping Dillian White wins. so he could be up there in the mix. As far as anti-Joshua and Molina, some people may want Joshua to go in there and blow out Molina. I don't want that to happen because you don't learn nothing from running the guy over. You learn absolutely nothing. I want him to go in there and get some work against Molina, because if you're going to fight Vladimir Klitschko, you're going to have to get some work in, because regardless of his age, you're still talking about one of the most experienced, one of the most thinking, knowledgeable fighters in the game. And you're going to need to get some work in because you don't learn anything about yourself when you just run a guy over. So I want him to get some work in. I want him to get in maybe a little bit of trouble so we can see, does he pass that test? You know, like you said, like you was talking to Spence, does he pass that test? You know, so I want him to get some work in. I want it to be a tough fight, not a hard fight, but a tough fight. So going into Vladimir Klitschko, we have some type of idea of what Joshua can stand up to.
I want to take you back a little bit of time. Lennox Lewis, when he was talking about wanting to fight Mike Tyson, and the American press was saying, until you beat Mike Tyson, you ain't relevant. You have to beat Mike Tyson. You have to beat our Mike. Even when he became undisputed champion, he beat Holyfield. Sorry, that's not good enough. You beat a blown cruiserweight. You're going to beat Mike. Never mind Rudy Bowe. Never mind Michael grow up the next coming of whatever. Never mind David Tua, the second Mike, the poor Mike Tyson. Never mind Shannon Briggs, the linear champion. Never mind him. You've got to beat Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So Lennox Lewis, I remember when he got knocked out by Oliver McCall, said, I want to fight Mike Tyson. He always wanted to fight Tyson. He was always chasing Tyson. And he said, for me to fight Tyson, I need to fight guys that are similar in build and movement. And if not similar in build and movement, at least in threat. And his comeback, when he got starched by McCall, he fought a guy called Lionel Butler. Looked a bit like Tyson, short, robust, big punch, big knockout power, Butler. And then he fought Ray Mercer. And you remember the Ray Mercer fight? Ray Mercer backed him up. It was a small ring, a tough, hard fight. Over 10 rounds. Lewis got busted up. Mercer worked on the inside. Lewis threw loads of uppercuts and combinations. Mercer's chin took all of it, and he came back. You could understand. He wanted to fight Tyson. He had to take this fight because it was part of the building process, which I use key, building process to the eventual Mike Tyson fight. The David Tua fight, another one of those building to Mike Tyson. But somehow, when I say that the David Price fight against Molina would have been a good build, David Price against Anthony Joshua would have been a good building fight because of Price's height, reach, and power. People look at me and say, "Nah, mate, Joshua would school him around." Well, if he does that, that's fantastic because he's done it against a big puncher who's got height and reach advantage. How does he deal with that? Let's see how he does that. He blows him out. Okay, he's done it. Now we know how he deals against a guy who actually has got the threat to take him out of one shot, hungry enough to become world champion. Okay, he's got his vulnerabilities, but that's why you're taking the fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're taking the fight. If Price had a great chin and big punch power and great reflexes and good height and reach and did all that stuff fantastically, we wouldn't be talking about Price the way we talk about him. We'll be talking about Price as the heavyweight champion of the world. So he has vulnerabilities. That's what makes David Price who he is. My point is using that fight as a gauge to say, okay, let's say you do that test. Then maybe fight Marius Vac, another tall guy, takes a great shot, is good, he'll give you some rounds so you can do the distance. Then by the time you fight Vladimir, you fought a guy tall, long arms, rangy, he's got a bit of pop in his power, his hands, and you've gone the distance. At this point in time, Joshua hasn't done that. That's why I was trying to build Price with Joshua in that sense. But people were very critical online and said, "Oh, what are you talking about? What are we talking about Price? He's got no chin. He got rolled out. He got done by 2 drug cheats, so he got chinned." That's kind of why I was kind of building the basis of the Molina, the Price and Joshua fight. What are your thoughts on that?
I think what you have to look at is that at the end of the day, boxing is a business. you know you can sell Anthony Joshua in the UK. You want to sell him here in America. You don't want to have to go the Lennox Lewis route with Anthony Joshua, which is the long route of beating Mike Tyson, which came toward the tail end of his career. And you don't get the cap like after he beat Mike Tyson, I think he had one fight after that, or one or two fights after. No, one fight after that, which was Klitschko, right? And he left the sport, so you didn't get to capitalize and build off of that. So I think what Anthony Joshua is, what they looked at, Showtime looked at is, we can sell Molina. Molina, it just got through going through a good hard test of a fight with Deontay Wilder. He was in there with Chris Arreola. He can punch. He's big, and he's durable, and he's somewhat of a threat. Now, if we put him in there with David Price has chin problems, but David Price, like guys with chin problems, can also punch. Is the risk higher with him fighting Price than Molina? Is Price going to want more money because he knows we're using him to build Joshua than Molina? Then it comes down to good old-fashioned, what I like to call, this is my horse, and I want him in the race. Mm-hmm. Molina is one of ours, and we just want him in the race. So your scenario I agree with, because I think regardless of how you look at it, either fight would have been something we can measure Anthony Joshua from. But those who want to see Joshua continue to win and succeed want to see him tested, but they don't want to see him almost beaten. Lennox Lewis against the Ray Mercer fight almost could have gotten beaten, and that's what made it better for Lewis, okay, in the long run, versus how fighters do today. I posted something up and I said Mike McCullum gave up his junior middleweight title, right? Because he wanted the middleweight title and he wanted to recognize being the middleweight title, not a junior titleist. He fought a guy by the name of Shumbe Colombe. And Colombe just came off a tough fight against Iran Barkley and took on the undefeated Mike McCullum. That doesn't happen in boxing anymore, because it's not about being great. It's about making money. So you have these decisions based off of that, other than based off, and it's also the reason why you have certain type of fans that you have,
See, a fight I wouldn't mind is watching. I know people criticize me. I'd rather watch Joshua fight Tony Thompson. And people will criticize me for that. But I'd like to Price beat Tony Thompson.
I agree with you. I like Joshua. I like that fight too. Thompson fought Luis Ortiz, if I'm not mistaken.
He did?
Right. And he gave a good account for himself. People don't, oh God, I hate to say this, but it's true. And because Spencer said this, people don't look at the history of a fighter. Like, you can look at a fighter's fight. People may go back one or two fights. See, boxing is a sport of what have you done for me lately. Shout out to my man 2K. People look at one or two fights, and then they forget about the entire resume and say, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, he didn't look good against this guy, okay? But look at these other guys he looked good against. So, we can't say that this is not a good fight. Like, I can't look at the Davis Price fight and say, hey, it wasn't good for Joshua, because here's the thing. David Price is being given an opportunity to do something great. How do we know that he won't rise to the occasion? I can give you, boxing is filled with things like that. Like I said, Spinks when he fought Muhammad Ali, Buster Douglas when he fought Tyson, Holyfield when he fought Tyson, Rigo when he fought Nonito Donaire, Lomachenko when he got in there with Gary Russell after getting beat by Lando Salido. So that's boxing, you know what I'm saying? So, and people don't understand, you can't just go off of one or two fights. You can't use a triangle theory. You have to understand that these guys come, like, when they given an opportunity, they're like me and you. You give me an opportunity, and either I'm ready for it or I'm not. But I can't focus on where I flopped at last time. Like you said, we talked about the situation with the false guy, with the fraud dude with the interview. Now, if you was to let that deter you, you will never be back on no more. But you can't live like that.
You can't. You got to move on. Take the shot. What did Rocky say? It's not about you getting hit. It's about when you get hit, is how hard a hit you can take, and you can come and the fact
right. No, yeah, right. He said it's not about the hits. It's about the number of hits you're taking. You got to keep going. Right.
We've come back and we've come back well.
Yeah,
very well.
And you have, and see, and that's the thing that people, and the reason why you have to come back like that. People got short memories. I'll guarantee you, this time next week, nobody will even remember that situation that you had.
Oh, the haters will. They'll keep that for the rest, whatever.
Oh well,
as well, but they won't mention the fact that in the same week we came back, we got interview with Lucas Brown, manager. We've done quite a few things since then. So we had Spencer Fearon tonight from Sky Sports. I mean, hey.
Yeah, well, the thing about haters, okay, I love haters. If I got 5, I'm trying to get 10. If I got 10, I'm trying to get 20. Because really the haters is what, keeps you going, because you're constantly trying to prove them wrong. They're watching your every mistake. So kind of in a way, the haters is what pays you. And I like them.
That's pretty true.
I mean, Floyd made millions off the haters.
That's very, very true. That's very, very true. Very, very true. Let me see. There's a few people in the room who've got things to say. I don't want to ignore the people in the room tonight. So let's give a shout out to the people in the room. Charlie Cutting, Sam Forrester. Yes, Spencer was in the room earlier on. Sorry you couldn't see him earlier. Fight Night, Boxing Gym. Graham M, as always. Zest CFC, Yannick, Mikey, Bad Bot.
Hey, I've been following. I think her name Angela.
Yes, Barry Venison. Keep going.
Yeah, I've been following Angela, man. She makes some very good posts.
Yeah, Angela's a star. She is. She's a star.
Yeah.
Who's the other? Waleed, Ballistic, Cat.
One of the amazing things about boxing, which is I'm finding out, boxing, unlike football, basketball, baseball, a lot of these athletes, when you try to get their time and you try to get time with them, they are a particular type of person. Boxing, you meet some of these guys, you meet some of these correspondents, they're regular people like me and you, man. They're just regular people. We're talking to Spencer on his bed. He's in his bed talking. We're talking to Khan Sheehan at his mom's house. We're talking to Angela on her sofa with her hair in a ponytail. Peter Fury. That's boxing. When you talk to these people, they're in their natural environment, so they don't have to be someone they're not. That's who they are. Michelle Joy Phelps. When you interviewed Michelle Joy Phelps, she had a bump on her face. And was interviewing you.
It opened up beautifully. It was it was a great interview, I thought, because it's
right. When we did our show, The Movement, we talked to Andre Durrell. It was a great best interview we had.
Troll time.
Yeah. But same Breadman, Derek James. We talked to these, and like you said, they're and I think that's why I love boxing, because, like Spencer said, fighters know when someone knows what they know. Like you said, you was told about me, you watch me, say, hey, I got to get this guy. That's boxing, and like when guys reach out to me, I do the same thing. When, like what you're doing for me, I do for them. What people have done for me, like what Spencer talks about you, and now he's looking at that's how boxing is. We reach back out to each other to come on up here,
Spencer's like a big bro. And I have enough respect to Spencer Fearon. He's like a big brother.
Yeah.
That's a brother I never had, So some of the thoughts people have that are on social media, they're a bit disconnected from the real world. Because a lot of them don't understand what's really going on and what's going on behind the scenes and stuff you see and like that talk about and the things you say. People think you just have an interview, you just ask the questions and you're off. The conversation I had after the interview, when it shuts down, we talk afterwards. That stuff they don't get, and if they got that stuff, they get a better idea of what's really going on.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that, because the number of times me and you have talked off air.
Absolutely.
And I bet people probably think, oh man, he just bring this guy on to talk. No, we've talked numerous times off air. We go back and forth texting each other during the week. You know?
Absolutely. So, you know, and I just to say, you know, it's a pleasure having you on the show, and I think you do a miraculous, fantastic job of what you do, and people over on BAYLORIC TV are certainly commenting and complimenting you and saying you're great at what you do, and more people are talking about your channel. And of course, please.
Truth and facts about boxing. You can follow me on Twitter at truth_factbox1. I do all kind of content, and when I do my music and everything like that, talking boxing. So I put all kind of content out there on Instagram, also truth_box1. I'm also part of this thing called the Movement Podcast. It's 724-444-7444, ID 142097. We interview a lot of other fighters. It's me, my man 2K, the God from the Gods of Boxing, Big Cool from Colossal Boxing Talk, my co-partner Bernard Brave, and Twan Levity from Hoop Jab and Rocky Mountain Boxing. And we get together, we talk about it. I say all the time, truth and facts don't play favorites, but people do. So, and, just follow the sport, follow me, follow Baylor, follow Boxing Kingdom, Matchbox, Box Nation. Just don't say nothing bad about Luis Ortiz or any other Cuban. I'm a fan.
Oh, what's his name again? Guzman? Remember Guzman?
Yeah. Weight. Guzman had a weight issue. Talking about the 140-pound fighter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a problem with weight. And he was with Golden Boy. He wasn't a lot of focus. You had Casamayor, you got Rance Bartholomew, and me and him actually talk. Right, me and him actually talk. Me and Rance, I follow him every now and then. We'll say something back and forth to each other. So
let me ask you a question. Before we close this off, I was going to close it off ages ago. Cuban fighters. I was told this about Cuban fighters. When they turn pro, it's okay in the amateur ranks, but when they turn pro and they're given a bit of money and they come to America and they get, some nice food and they see the girls and they see the money, their ambition is very, very, it gets tested and they don't want it as much. But that's what makes Rigondeaux a legend, because he is able to stay focused despite everything else that's thrown at him. Your thoughts?
One of the things, and to a certain degree that is correct, when you don't have anything and you give somebody something, sometimes they can become content because they didn't have anything in the first place. So that hunger to have something is easily satisfied. That's why I like Luis Ortiz, because he's not just satisfied with just being looked at as a contender. He actually wants to get in there with some of these bigger dudes. So I like that attitude. Rance Bartholomew is another guy. Sullivan Barrera. But, like, if you look at Edizani Lara, and I like Edizani Lara, but Edizani Lara seemed to be okay with hanging around the 154-pound division. He holds 2 titles, the WBA and the IBO, but I would like to see Edizani Lara step it up a little bit. Fight Demetrius Andrade. Fight, the winner of J-Rock. Go to push to unify, the titles. I would like to see him do that. So, I think that also another thing with Cuban fighters is once they finally get over here, I hate to say this, but a lot of them don't make the right decision as far as connecting with the right promoter and people that can put them in a position. Like, I still to this day feel like Rigo shouldn't have signed with Rock Nation. I feel like he shouldn't have signed with Rock Nation because they was a brand new company. So you should, he was with Aaron, but, I just think he should have went somewhere else, not with a newer company. He's loyal to Caribe for whatever reason, Caribe Promotions, and sometimes that's to his own detriment. Like a lot of Cuban fighters, they're loyal to those people that brought him over here, and sometimes that's to their detriment. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have to agree with you to a certain degree, but I think we're starting to see a trend now where some of these fighters who are coming over here, at the very least, they're being pushed a little bit more, and they seem to be a little bit more hungry, like Sullivan Barrera, Eunice Gonzalez, Dorticos, Ortiz, and Rigo. But at the same time, don't get in your own way as you try to make these moves. Like, with the exception of Edizani Lara, almost every Cuban fighter recently fight now has either left a promotion or got rid of a manager. Luis Ortiz just left Golden Boy for whatever reason.
Question: why do you think he went to Eddie Hearn and not Al Heyman, which was rumored?
I think he went to Eddie Hearns because he probably wants to fight Deontay Wilder. And if he goes to PBC, he may not get a chance to fight Deontay Wilder. He may not get a chance to fight a Tyson Fury. So I think he went. I think by being with Golden Boy, he might have saw something while over there with Golden Boy that that probably made him feel, well, you know what? I don't want to go with another American-based promoter or individual. I want to try something outside the box a little bit.
Felix Savon.
Huh?
Felix Savon.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
My boy there.
Yeah, hey. One of the greatest amateur fighters ever.
And the other one, Stevenson.
Yeah. Teofilo Stevenson. He's the second. People go back and forth between them two as 1 and 2. But
yes.
Sabin would always be number 1.
So I like Felix Savon for me. Now, Felix Savon in the heavyweight division as a pro.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Today?
Definitely. Well, okay. Okay, let's put him in the heavyweight division today as a young pro.
Oh, man, he's champion. He's champion. Now, when you look at, and I know people like to say, amateurs doesn't translate over to pro, and guys like Rigo and Lomachenko and Usyk and Noye, they're starting to disprove that. They're starting to disprove that they don't translate. But if you look at Sabin, the way he fought, he was so technically sound. Mm-hmm. He was extremely a good mover. He had a very good chin. He had a right hand. His footwork was excellent. It was just, oh my God. The only thing that may hurt him was he wasn't a very big heavyweight, as far as he wasn't 6'6", 6'7". He wasn't 250, 260. So that aspect, he might have had a bit of a disadvantage. But then again, he was quick and faster than most of these heavyweights. So I definitely think that Savon would have been a champion. When you look at, and I'm not knocking him, Deontay Wilder. When you look at a guy like Deontay Wilder or Brazzelli, Chris Martin, who won the title. Not knocking Anthony Joshua, but Anthony Joshua winning the title. When you look at these guys winning titles, how can you not feel that Sabin fight now would not be a champion?
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but you have to know the sport to know that.
I know. Sabin's a great fighter.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest amateur fighters that ever lived. He had a shot to fight Mike Tyson. You know that, right?
Did he?
He had a chance to fight.
Sorry about that, but I didn't know how true it was.
Yeah, he had a chance to fight Mike, and some of the reasons why it went through was, one was he didn't trust Don King, and he wasn't sure if Don King would allow him to win, get his money, and come back and bring it back to Cuba. And that was one of the biggest issues he was having.
What would have happened?
I think Sabin would have beat Mike Tyson, because the thing about Mike Tyson was he was physically prepared in every way possible. But Mike, as we found out about Mike had a mental state of mind that could be tested. Physically, you couldn't test Mike. Mentally, you could test Mike. And Mike sometimes mentally would do it to himself. Like, if you went past 5 rounds with Mike Tyson, sometimes he mentally would doubt himself. And I just think that Savon had ways that he could have neutralized that power of Mike Tyson at that time. So, but then again, Mike Tyson was such a devastating puncher, man. He was quick and he was fast, and that's his type. He was quick, fast, and compact, and that's the kind of guy that even Savon hadn't faced in the amateurs. So it would have been a good matchup, but I'm gonna go with the home team though.
Yasmani, the heavyweight. I'm not sure if they have me on here. There's a guy that they want me to ask you about. I don't know much about. He's a Cuban heavyweight.
He's a Cuban heavyweight?
Yeah. But I don't know if they're talking sense or they're see. I don't know. I can't tell because I don't know about. The name is Oxbow's heavyweight, some Cuban heavyweight, Yasmani Consugra.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of him. I'm gonna have to check him out.
So I don't know if that's true or not. They could be just pulling my leg. I don't know.
Yeah, I never heard of him. Because the only Cuban heavyweight that I know right now is Luis Ortiz. Then you have a cruiserweight by the name of Dorticos.
Hold on, Dorticos. I think you just mentioned Dorticos.
Okay, yeah, right. Dorticos is a cruiserweight.
Looks like a wrecking machine, says Mikey. He says, Charlie Cutting says he fought Brazil. He fought Brazil.
Oh, he fought Dominic Brazili in amateurs?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah.
Probably fought him in amateurs. You know, I wasn't really I knew Dominic Brazili wasn't going to beat Anthony Joshua because he struggled against Amir Mansour just previously.
What's going on with Gerald Washington, by the way?
Who?
Gerald Washington.
I don't know. That's a name I haven't heard in a minute. I don't know what's going on with him.
On that very weird night, he beat Eddie Chambers. It's
Yes, he did.
Eddie wouldn't throw any punches, and Gerald Washington was scared of getting hit.
Right. I don't know what's going on. You know, there's a boxing is one of them sports where either you wind up in the Bermuda Triangle or you're on the island with everybody else. That's the weird thing about boxing, man. It's either you're somebody we know or you're in the Bermuda Triangle waiting for a phone call to get a paycheck.
And the return of Bryant Jennings, where's he going to fit in the mix?
I think Bryant Jennings can still be in the mix. Listen, he lost to Vladimir Klitschko. He went the distance. He got knocked out by Luis Ortiz. Now, I've heard the same claims you heard when Bryant Jennings said that he wasn't quite naturally in shape for that fight. But if that's true, then shame on Bryant Jennings because there's no way you get in shape for Vladimir Klitschko and you do not get in shape for Luis Ortiz, who is a dangerous guy. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you wanted to continue making a name. Like, think about this. Where would they have put Bryant Jennings if he'd beat Luis Ortiz? You see what I'm saying? So if he didn't come in the shape for that fight, then shame on him. But I hope his return, I hope he's in shape. He got a good frame of mind. Bryant Jennings seemed to have a good state of mind. I just hope he's in shape and he's ready fully to commit himself to the sport.
John David Jackson, he was meant to be training with him, and I thought it was a great move. He moved away from Fred Jenkins, who's now training with Malik Scott. Fred Jenkins got a habit of getting his fighters to blindfold them when he's training them. I don't know why he does that, but he does it. It seems to work for him. So I like Fred Jenkins. He's a very good trainer.
Yeah, he
seems to get connected with a lot of Philly fighters. Don't ask me why. Philly fighters and Ingram Jones seem to be connected. I don't ask me why it happens.
Well, Philly fighters are famous for being tough and rugged, and that's the allure of being a Philly fighter. And sometimes it's to their detriment.
Best fighters from the Midwest?
Best who?
Are the best fighters from the Midwest?
From the Midwest?
According to was it Floyd? Was which one was it? Jeff Roger Mayweather?
The best fighters are in the Midwest.
Yeah,
he's saying that because of Floyd Mayweather. That's what you got. Floyd, you got Andre, you got both the Durrell brothers. Granados is from over here in the Midwest. This is actually a few people from the Midwest, but I can't say the best fighters are from the Midwest.
Considered Midwest?
Who?
Does Philly could be considered Midwest?
Phoenix?
Philadelphia.
No, Philly is the East Coast. Philly is over there by New Jersey. Matter of fact, Philly is right across the bridge.
So in that case, you've got a lot of Philly fighters that are very good fighters.
You got some of the greatest Philly fighters ever, man.
Including Rocky, right?
Huh?
Including Rocky.
Yeah. Right. Let's not forget him, man. Let's not forget.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, of course. Yeah. He was a great fighter, wasn't he? Let's box rack him.
You're right. And Ivan Drago is the greatest Russian fighter ever.
Yeah, of course. Also, great box rack.
Yeah, he would beat both Klitschko brothers in one night.
Right. Absolutely, totally. And Rocky would have been. Do you know the only thing I never understood about Rocky? He looked the size of a middleweight or welterweight. Did he not? And everyone else looked like heavyweights. I never quite got that. He took all them blows and he just came back all the time.
Well, here's what I didn't get about Rocky. Okay,
Yeah.
he chased chickens.
Yeah.
He punched meat raw.
Yes.
He jumped rope relentlessly.
Yeah.
He worked on the rope going back and forth for his head movement.
Yeah.
Used the speed bag. But yet he get in the ring like this and let you punch him in the head. So he did all these skillful trainings, but didn't use any skill at all when he got in the fight. And that was always what killed me about Rocky.
It defies logic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bo, thank you so much for being part of BAYLORIC TV tonight. We appreciate you so much.
Anytime, man.
Just to close now. Check out our interview with Lucas Brown's manager, Matt Clark. Interview talking about the fights that never were meant to happen, the fight with Klitschko that never happened, the fight with Shannon Briggs and how he sees that as a very dangerous fight, and lots more, including the drug allegations. And we look forward to having Lucas Brown on the channel soon as well. This has been me, Ingram Jones from BAYLORIC TV with Bo Bland. This is BAYLORIC TV, and we're out. Thanks for watching.